Hi, everyone. Welcome back. So we're here to open up the final session at UChicago Chi Chicago, and this is on privacy and ads. So we have an exciting session with 3 papers in this session, and we're starting off with a really great paper. This was featured in the New York Times. It won an honorable mention award at the conference, which Blaise mentioned in the previous session is only given to the top 5% of papers submitted to the conference. And the interesting thing about this is it's a wearable microphone jamming, and we'll find out all about that. The speakers are Yuxin Chen and Shan-Yuan Teng. Both of them are PhD students in the Department of Computer Science here at UChicago. Yuxin is actually advised by Ben and Heather. And you can find out more about both of them in the chat, where I've pasted links to both of their profiles. And Shan-Yuan is also a PhD student here, and he's advised by Pedro Lopez. So faculty on this were Pedro Lopez, Ben Zhao, and Heather Zhang as well. So let's get started. So I believe, Yuxin, you will probably start off. Are you ready to share your screen? Great, take it away.
Okay, so hi, my name is Yuxin. Today, Shan-Yuan and I are going to talk about this idea of wearable microphone jamming. This is on behalf of our colleagues Huiying, Steven, Zhijing, and our advisors Pedro, Ben, and Heather at the University of Chicago. This idea is about using a wearable to disable microphones in user surroundings so that these microphones cannot secretly listen to the user. And I want to show you directly what I'm talking about.
So, how does it work?
I can tell you how it works, but it's confidential.
So these 2 people are having some private conversation, and to protect their privacy, she is going to turn on the privacy bracelet. As a result, the camera only recorded this joint white noise. This noise is so loud that it disables the microphone's ability to do any useful recording. And besides the camera, other microphones in this scene are also disabled, like his smartphone, his smartwatch, and this voice assistant. And then we play the rest of the video, and as you will see, they are still having normal conversation. This is because this noise is something that somehow only the microphones can hear, but not humans. So why do we need a microphone jammer? Today, microphones are everywhere, like the voice assistant right here. They are also in your kitchen, they are even in your car. But unfortunately, these microphone-based devices are not secure and can be easily attacked. Here is an example discovered by a previous study. This user is talking to the voice assistant, and the top left corner shows the attacker screen.
Alexa, stop. Goodbye. I will vote Democrats.
So this is just one basic attack. There are several more advanced attacks out there. So how can we protect ourselves against such privacy threat? One promising way that researchers have been looking at is to jam microphones. One simple idea is to blast super loud noise into the room to cover human voice, like this white noise generator. But this is not effective because it also disrupts human normal conversation. And recently, Roy and his colleagues found a new way to jam microphones. They use inaudible ultrasound instead of using audible noise. And let me tell you how it works. Our microphones are designed to only record sounds that humans can hear. And ideally, ultrasound should not be captured. But in fact, when ultrasound passes through the microphone, it automatically gets shifted and leaks to the low frequency range. And this is caused by hardware defects, which are the nonlinearity of the microphone's amplifier and diaphragm. So with this property, we can send ultrasound to cover human voice without interrupting normal conversation. And you can even buy these devices on the market. They work well. Microphones close to these devices can be jammed, but they share 3 limitations. The first one is that they are all stationary devices. They do not go with user. And the second one is that they have limited angular coverage. You need to point them to the target microphones to jam. If you don't know where the microphone is, then the jammers will not work. And even you know where the microphone is, your primary task as an user is not doing whatever you are doing, such as having a conversation, but your primary task is now looking at things and points your jammer to the target microphones. Another thing makes this even harder is that the jamming coverage is not evenly distributed. There are some blind spots where the jamming signal is so weak, like the white spots right here. And this is because these ultrasonic jammers are relying on multiple transducers to increase power and coverage. So signals from these transducers can destructively interfere with each other at some locations and create blind spots. This means you need to point it fairly precisely, otherwise you are going to point it to the blind spot and the jammer will not work. So we tackle these 3 problems by turning ultrasonic jammer into a wearable jammer. And let me show you how this solves all the problems I just mentioned. First of all, it's a wearable, so it moves with the user and it protects the user's surroundings. And we use a ring layout and place ultrasonic speakers all around. This design effectively enables multi-directional jamming. We ran a simulation to see how these things work. This figure shows the jamming power of a 90-degree area. The jammer is placed in the bottom left corner and point to the top. Blue means weak jamming and yellow means strong jamming. As you can see here, the planar layout has limited coverage. It mostly jams in the front, and it has several blind spots. For our ring layout, the jammer covers all directions. As you can see, there are still blind spots. So let me show you how making it a wearable jammer can solve this blind spots problem. We found that adding small motion to the jammer can blur out these blind spots. And by building a wearable jammer, we can leverage natural hand gestures to reduce blind spots. We also ran a simulation to confirm our findings. And I will let Shan-Yuan to take over and tell you how we implemented this wearable jammer.
Hi, I'm Shan-Yuan Teng. Let me show you the real device here. And if you see me in the corner of your Zoom window, you can try toggle the speaker view to see me full screen. And this should be on the top right corner. So we designed our wearable jammer in a bracelet form. We place all the ultrasonic transducers in a ring layout. And inside this casing, you see our custom circuits. So we use a programmable microcontroller and connect it to a signal generator here that we program to generate changing sine waves that centered around the resonance frequency of these transducers. That is, we sweep between 24 to 26 kilohertz, and they are all in human inaudible range. And then we amplify the signal through an amplifier. All our circuits and these transducers are powered by a lithium battery here that can support 4 hours of continuous jamming. So if I turn this on, this should generate ultrasound that produce audible noise for the microphone of my laptop that is recording me, but because they are ultrasound, that I should not hear it. So let me try turn this on. Off, and now you should hear me again. Okay. So we evaluated our prototypes through 3 technical evaluations and a user study. I'll just focus on highlights today. This experiment is to understand how well our prototype jams state-of-the-art speech recognizer. We place an audio speaker near our prototype and play back human speech from the large corpus. To approximate hand movements, we place our prototype on a motion platform that slightly rotates and let it jam continuously. Then we recorded the audio using the smartphone that was put 1 meter away. We piped the audio to a state-of-the-art machine learning speech recognizer, which is IBM Cloud that we used, and see how much text is able to be identified. We moved our smartphone around the jammer to measure the jamming coverage every 5 degrees from the front to the rear. Then, we ran the same experiment with i4, the existing commercial product, and the planar layout, which we find in the literature. So here's the results of our wearable jammer. The x-axis is the different angles we measured, and the y-axis is the word error rate that we found by comparing the speech recognition results and the corpus scripts. This shows how many words are recognized incorrectly. The higher, the better jamming performance. We see our wearable jammer jam pretty well in all the angles. Here is an example of the data. This is the original speech we played, and this is the recorded audio with our jamming. We see only the first 2 words can be recognized. Other words are either being recognized as wrong words or the recognizer just completely missed it, resulting in a high word error rate. The gray line is the jamming results of i4, the commercial product. It not only shows that the jamming coverage is very limited, but also there's a clear blind spot in its coverage, where much less words are jammed. The planar layout, shown in this black line, also has similar trends, with limited coverage and the blind spots. Compared to the other 2 jammers, our wearable prototype has wide coverage and similarly well jamming performance. However, in this experiment, we were controlling all the environment's variables and the corpus is scripted. There are no real users. Therefore, we decided to invite users to use our prototype. We wanted to understand whether wearing our jamming bracelet impacts one's feeling of privacy in a natural setting. The participants we recruited were asked to have free-form conversations, which were not scripted. They exchanged the bracelets in the conversation, while the phones on the table were recording. After the conversation, participants were given transcripts, which were generated using speech recognition from the phone's recording. We found out that participants feel that our bracelets protected their privacy, rating an average of 5.4 out of 7. We interviewed the participants. Some say the bracelets was noticeable, but they forgot about it, or stopped feeling odd about wearing it once they focused on the conversation. Some feels more protected, either when wearing the bracelet or by simply seeing others wear it. I'll let Yuxin to wrap up our talk.
So to conclude, we design, implement, and use a wearable ultrasonic jammer to protect users all around against eavesdropping microphones. And the jammer has full angular coverage and minimized blind spots. As we are surrounded by microphones all the time, our wearable jammer provides users a practical and effective tool to protect their privacy. We believe this is a great start point, and it also opens new directions for more researchers, including understanding its influence to animals, testing on more microphones, increasing its vertical coverage, and building it in other form factors. And I want to thank our colleagues and our advisors. Thank you, and we are happy to take any questions.
Thank you. That was an awesome talk and probably one of the best demos I've ever seen live. So I'd love to open it up for questions. You're welcome to post questions on the chat or raise your hand. If you raise your hand, I will look to see if anyone has their hand raised. While we're waiting for questions on the chat, I was curious about what is the range of the jamming? So does the person have to be pretty close to the device like you have in this initial video, or does it have quite a wide range?
Yeah, so I will answer this question. So currently, for our prototype, the jamming coverage is roughly, we tested on 1 meter, and I think this range can like increasing to maybe 1.5, but we only tested 1 meter, and it's possible to like increase the power of our prototype to increase the further coverage.
Great, thanks. I'm just looking here. There's another question from Jenna here. And Jenna asked, did any participants discuss why they felt not completely protected while wearing the privacy enhancing bracelet? So, they didn't all give it 7 out of 7, for example. So were they skeptical of the technology at all?
I think I can answer this question. So our bracelet actually depends a bit on the slice motion of the hands movements. And so there could be some circumstances that a word can slip through the speech recognizer. And it depends on how important that word is. Sometimes it can be an important word for the user, but sometimes they don't really care. So in one case, like they're talking about Facebook, and then the word Facebook actually slips through this speech recognition, and so they feel like they actually knows a lot about the conversation, so that lowers their score. So actually, like, people have different opinions on how much information leakage impact the feeling of privacy.
Oh, super interesting. So we have another question, and thanks for that great answer. The question here is, if there are malicious attackers who wanted to circumvent this bracelet, how difficult would this be?
Yeah, so I will answer this question. This is a very good question. So basically, this is actually not able to circumvent, because it happens on the hardware level on the microphone. So if an attacker is going to like remove the noise, because this noise is already inside the signal, so it's not possible to like remove this on the software level, I think.
Great, good to know. So actually related to that, Roshan Paris also asked another question, which was, and also there was a comment, great work live in live demo. Can an audio filter be used to remove the ultrasound audio?
Can you repeat the question again?
So it's, can an audio filter be used to remove the ultrasound audio? So I guess I'm not sure, but it sounds like the question is like the ultrasound audio that the microphone is hearing. Can that be removed with an audio filter?
I guess another way to frame that would be, I had a similar question. Sorry to jump in. Like, it was very clear to humans, if you're into the ultrasound, that it is jamming. Like, it sounds like noise. It doesn't sound like silence. I guess, is there a way to make it more imperceptible?
Sorry, the network connection is not very stable.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, the question is also in chat. And so, again, it's basically asking if the perceptible ultrasound audio that the microphone hears, can that be removed, I think, with an audio filter?
I can try to answer that if Shan-Yuan and Yuxin's connection is flaky at the moment. So Jenna, just to be clear on your question, you were saying it's clear to humans that it's jamming. So humans never hear the jamming, which is actually quite an open challenge for you to understand if your jammer is on or off. There's certainly some other project in there that's probably very interesting, but it is very clear for a computer that some super loud sound just started because the jammer does this random approach where it tries all the frequencies. And so the computer or the microphone is going to just get all the frequencies excited really fast. Now, to answer the subsequent question that Roshan had, can we just audio filter this out? Unfortunately not. We've been actually trying very hard. In fact, Yuxin and Heather and Ben have been trying very hard to attack our own jammer, and we can't attack the jammer because of two main reasons. The first one is that the problem happens at the hardware level, and there's nothing we can really do about it. It's not just putting a low-pass filter or something, because before that, the microphone circuit, the first amplifier, already got jammed. Right. And the second problem is that even if you could solve this on the software level, right, just by audio filtering out, the problem is actually the stuff you're trying to filter to recover is quieter than the jammer. So the jammer, the way I typically tell people what this jammer does is it shouts really loud over you, right? So you're trying to speak and the jammer is like shouting over that. And so it's impossible to retrieve that information because the signal is just weaker than the noise. But please, everyone, attack this jammer. We need to figure out how it works.
That's amazing. Thank you. That was a brilliant answer. And sorry to our speakers who are having difficulties. We still really enjoyed your talk. And I think just giving the time, although there are a bunch of different questions, I'll leave it to the co-authors to answer that. And now we'll be moving on to our next talk in the session. So our next talk is by Julia Hanson. And Julia, interesting fun fact. So Julia started off as an undergrad here at UChicago in the Department of Computer Science. And she started off working with Blazer, who co-directs the supergroup with me. And now she's a PhD student in our department. And so here she's going to talk to us about another honorable mention paper. So remember, again, this is one of the top 5% of the papers presented at CHI this year. And she's going to talk to us about hyper-personalized ads and how that's actually affecting Crowdworkers' privacy perceptions and decisions. Okay, so Julia, if you're ready, take it away.
Okay. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Let me move myself out of the way. Okay. So hi, everyone. I'm Julia. Today, I will be presenting our paper, Taking Data Out of Context to Hyper-Personalize Ads, Crowdworkers, Privacy Perceptions, and Decisions to Disclose Private Information. So in the old days, advertisements were marketed to broad, heterogeneous audiences. For example, a billboard showing an ad about vacations to Hawaii would be seen by everyone passing by. But today, the rise of web tracking, email tracking, and data marketplaces has enabled far greater personalization. Advertisers infer users' interests and demographics to create increasingly targeted and personalized ads. A logical next step would be hyper-personalized ads like this one. Julia, plant enthusiasts like you love Hawaii. Book your flight from Chicago today. Prior work has shown that people can find some personalized ads creepy. Personalization reflects a potential misuse of data, since data used for personalization is collected in one context, but then reused in another. These observations raise two questions. First, how would you respond to seeing your data recontextualized in a hyper-personalized ad? And how could you prevent unwanted reuse of your data in the future? Well, one strategy you might try for preventing unwanted reuse is to limit information disclosure by being more hesitant about giving information out in the first place. This brings us to our main research question. Would seeing a creepy, hyper-personalized ad cause feelings of privacy invasion that would then alter information disclosure behavior? To explore this question, we designed an experiment. We used the prolific crowdsourcing platform to recruit participants. Our design was the following. First, show participants either a generic ad or a hyper-personalized ad, then ask them a series of invasive questions with the option not to answer. So we hypothesized that as a way to protect their privacy, those who saw the hyper-personalized ad would answer fewer invasive questions than those who saw the generic ad. Okay, now we'll get into our methods in a little bit more detail. So we wanted to show an ad, but for validity, participants couldn't know the ad was from us. So we designed a deception protocol. The protocol had two parts. In part one, we collected the information we needed to personalize the ad. Then we waited over a week so participants would forget what information we collected. And in part two, we showed the ad and asked invasive questions. We compensated participants $1 for part one, which took 5 minutes, and $4 for part two, which took 30 minutes. As part of our deception, we initially gave a generic study title, The Demographics, Interests, and Experiences of Americans. And instead of using our university affiliation when posting the survey, we posed as the fictional Institute for Interests and Demographics Research, IIDR. So the goal of part one was to obtain consent and gather the information we needed for the ad without arousing our participants' suspicion. So to do this, we elicited information about our participants amidst a bunch of distractor questions. And within those, we asked for participants' name, phone number, preferred cuisine, relationship status, and partner's name. We also used IP geolocation to estimate their town level location. So having gotten information for hyper-personalizing an ad in part one, we waited a week so participants would have time to forget about the information they gave. And then we were ready to show participants the ad in part two. When participants began part two, our software automatically triggered either the display of a banner ad on the first page of the survey or the delivery of a robotext to the participant's cell phone. Robotexts are increasingly being used for personalized ads. Furthermore, as they would likely be received on a different device than the survey, participants would be less likely to associate the ad with our survey. So with the information collected from part one, we were able to create personalized ads like this banner ad, which says, Taylor, treat Ryan to a date night this week in Memphis. We know you love Thai restaurants. Use supereats.co to reserve a table at one of the 7 near you for a deal. On the left is the personalized ad we just saw. And as a control, we created parallel generic ads with no personalization. So these ones read, treat yourself this week. Use supereats.co to reserve a restaurant near you. The robotext ads we sent were also personalized or generic, with similar text to the banner ads. And they were sent from a short code, which is commonly used for commercial purposes. The short code here is that 474747 number at the top. To recap our study conditions, participants received either a banner ad or a robotext ad, and the ad was either personalized or generic. So after showing the ad, we asked a series of invasive questions. We created questions for this part of the survey, taking inspiration from sources like the American Housing Survey, the US Census, and Pew Research. We also gathered more sensitive questions from Facebook and magazine quizzes. From these sources, we selected 43 invasive questions reflecting a range of sensitivity. Earlier questions in our slate were low invasiveness, like how many years of experience do you have with using the internet? But the questions escalated to include things like, for what reason did you last cry? What is the first and last name of your best friend? And what is your home address? Crucially, each question had a conspicuous prefer not to say option. We called attention to this option at the start of the section and explicitly told participants they would not be penalized for selecting it. We hypothesized participants would select prefer not to say as a way to protect their privacy and limit information disclosure. Afterwards, we debriefed participants about the study's true nature. So we revealed that we were not the fake IIDR, but the University of Chicago. and that it was us who had sent the banner or robotext ad. Following the debrief, we also asked participants about their reactions and recollections of the ad, with questions like, do you remember seeing the ad? Do you remember it? Did you suspect it was study related at any point? And what factors did you consider when answering the invasive questions? Because participants could have protected their privacy by also answering the questions inaccurately, we showed them a list of their answers at the end of the survey and asked them to select any inaccurate ones. So here, we also emphasized that they would not be penalized for having given us inaccurate responses. We took great care to protect participant privacy and follow ethical best practices in this methodology. We used Prolific's deception filter to only recruit participants who had already consented to participating in deception studies. We worked with Prolific, and Prolific approved our study design for collecting PII, personal identifying information. And we made sure we debriefed participants who dropped out of the study early, given the importance of the debrief to our protocol. Finally, we deleted participant personal identifying information and immediately overwrote their answers to the invasive questions, retaining only whether they had answered each and done so accurately. Now for the results. We recruited 280 participants from Prolific to participate in our study. So first, how effective was our deception? We wanted to verify that participants did not associate the ad with the study contents. Following the debrief, participants self-reported whether they saw the ad and suspected it was study-related. 92 participants, or 65%, were sent the robotext, saw it, and did not think it was study-related. 85 participants, or 62%, were shown the banner ad, saw it, and were similarly not suspicious. The remainder of the results report only on these participants who saw it and did not suspect it was study-related. We were interested in whether participants would be creeped out or react otherwise negatively to the hyper-personalization in the ad they saw. Participants who received personalized ads frequently reported feeling scared, concerned, shocked or surprised, creeped out, or uncomfortable, among other strong negative feelings. 53% of participants who saw a personalized banner ad reported such feelings, as did 44% of those who saw the personalized robotext ad. In contrast, no participants who saw the generic ad reported these negative feelings. Participants did in fact perceive our ads as creepy. So for example, participant 211 wrote, "I was quite alarmed by the ad, wondering how it knew my spouse's name and my location. I was disturbed and put off by it." Another participant who received a robotext responded to our text message directly to the shortcode, saying they would blast us on Twitter for sending such creepy ads. Participants' reactions, interestingly, often also tried to make sense of where the information came from. They tried to determine the source of the leak of their data. Some participants wrote about Google or Facebook, two highly visible data collectors. Participant 123 thought more specifically and wrote, "I had a noticeable reaction of both worry and disgust. And then I realized I had been visiting a lot of restaurant websites recently." So now for the information disclosure part of our results. So for each invasive question, recall we measured whether participants answered it instead of selecting prefer not to say, which will show those results in the gray circle. And we also measured whether participants reported answering it accurately, which will be shown in the white circle. All participants answered less sensitive questions, like those around internet usage. Many fewer participants answered the more sensitive questions. While 86% of participants answered, "For what reason did you last cry?" less than half answered, "What was the first and last name of your closest friend?" And only 15% answered, "What is your home address?" The average participant, though, answered 86% of all the questions, which was much higher than we expected. But we were most interested in whether information disclosure would differ by condition. So these box plots will show the total questions answered and total questions answered accurately for participants in each condition. So participants who received either generic or personalized robotext ads or generic or personalized banner ads. Yeah, okay. So despite participants' negative reactions to personalized ads, a Mann-Whitney U-test revealed no significant differences in the number of questions answered by participants based on whether they saw a personalized or generic ad. So just to pause here for a second, because this is two box plots to digest. We were wondering if for each group of 2 rows, there would be a difference in the total number of questions answered or questions answered accurately, and we did not find statistically significant differences across any of our personalized or generic conditions. So we asked participants how they chose between disclosing information or selecting prefer not to say. And participants revealed to us that they did have some method for deciding prefer not to say. 42% chose not to disclose information when they perceived the question to be too personal or embarrassing, such as when it crossed the line into their privacy. Other participants did not disclose information that was personally identifying or important for security. For example, questions that felt like phishing, mom's maiden name, were a no-go. I cared less about it being invasive and more about it being bad security. In contrast, why did participants decide to disclose information? First, it was influenced by time pressures for completing the study. To be honest, you're bombarded with information all the time, and for the most part, it's too much effort to try and keep up with everything. Participants also desired study compensation. When asked if they perceived risks in disclosing information, one participant shared, "I think there is a lot of risk, and if I wasn't flat broke, I wouldn't be doing this," which highlights known labor pressures on crowd workers. The final consideration was weighing the costs and benefits of disclosure, which in the privacy literature is known as performing privacy calculus, which we can see with the response from this participant. It's impossible to really know where the data goes after you leave it. This is very unrestricted territory, but the fact I get compensated makes me feel justified in taking any risks. Google takes all day, so does Amazon, so do many others. I don't get paid for that. This participant acknowledged the costs of not knowing where the data would go, but reasoned that because they get compensated, it would be worth it. Prior work has shown that crowd workers' trust in a requester and their reputation impacts whether they disclose information. To investigate whether this influenced our participants, we asked them how trustworthy they perceived our fake organization, IIDR. Participants reported very mixed trust, like, they're okay, I don't know a lot about them. Well, we found participants had a lot of trust in Prolific. 83% of participants mentioned trusting the study because it was on Prolific. Many described assumptions that Prolific vets its studies. One participant mentioned, "I feel like Prolific weeds out all the bad studies, so I had faith that Prolific would keep me safe." Prolific does not actually proactively screen studies on its platform. I'd like to conclude with some thoughts for discussion. The results of our study are interesting to consider in the light of the contextual integrity theory of privacy. Contextual integrity posits that privacy comes from appropriate flows of information, and privacy harms arise when information is unexpectedly used or reused, violating those appropriate flows. Our findings seem to support this theory, as participants had strong negative reactions to their information being repurposed for commercial ads, violating their expectations. However, contrary to our hypothesis, we did not observe participants change their information disclosure behavior as a result of a potential privacy harm. Perhaps participants compartmentalized the effects of various flows of information. That is, they still decided to disclose sensitive information to the survey when they didn't know from whom to protect their information after seeing the ad. This poses an interesting question. Do actors need to be identified for behavior change? This is a hard question to answer because who uses online data and how is not very transparent in the current online data economy. The findings of our study also have important implications for crowd work. Our crowd workers placed a lot of trust in Prolific to help them manage privacy risks. But crowdworking platforms largely assume that the workers themselves will decide what they're willing to disclose. The burden should not be placed on crowd workers. Instead, we need privacy by design on crowdworking platforms. Here, we suggest several ways of incorporating this. First, crowdworking platforms could introduce verification systems for requester identities. They could collaborate with IRBs to ensure requesters are behaving as they should. And further, crowdworking platforms could require requesters to disclose the purpose of data collection to give workers more transparency into how their data will be used. What directions are there for future work? First, future work could investigate what it takes to creep people out enough that they change their behavior, or what level of privacy violation results in a behavior change. A single ad wasn't enough in our study, but multiple over a longer period of time might be, or maybe no amount of creepiness is enough to cause behavior change, which raises interesting questions for assumptions of users' self-regulation. Future work could also investigate competing effects influencing information disclosure. Some participants could have taken a cautionary lesson from our study and decided not to share data again. Others could have been demoralized, had their privacy hopelessness confirmed, and decided there's no benefit trying to protect their privacy online at all. Why not answer more questions? Finally, future work could investigate non-crowdworking contexts to understand how others perceive risks related to disclosing information online. And that's all. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Julia. And so now I'll just open it up to say if anyone has a question for Julia, now's the time to ask it. We're running a little against the clock, but I think we have time for at least 1 to 2 questions. So one of the questions was, how did the people who said they did it because they need the money explain that logic when they would be paid even if they selected prefer not to say? Is this different from the security calculus you discussed after answering out of gratitude for being paid, or is that the calculus taken to its extreme? Also, great work.
Great. That's a really great question because we were also puzzled by that result, given the fact that we emphasized so carefully that they would not be penalized for choosing prefer not to say. Basically, participants mentioned that they were still concerned about selecting prefer not to say too many times. And I think if you look at the crowdworking ecosystem as a whole, this result makes sense because other surveys often use attention checks, and which are kind of questions thrown in to make sure that your participant is paying attention. And then researchers later review those and throw out and don't pay participants who failed those checks or didn't answer enough questions. So I think a lot of crowd workers enter surveys with that kind of background anxiety of, I want to make sure I follow all of the directions because I don't want my submission to be rejected by the requester for not having done enough.
Great, and thank you, Henry Filosa, for that question. So we have one more question. So Ben, if you want to ask the question.
Yeah, hi, Julia. Really interesting work. You know, when you were just starting your talk, and it sort of brought me back to that. I don't know if you remember that scene in Minority Report when Tom Cruise first puts on that other dude's eyeballs and walks into a store and gets a super, hyper-personalized, of course, inappropriately personalized ad for him. And I'm just wondering, at least it seems like in certain contexts, people expect the sort of consensus future dystopia to be a place where this is all over the place, and therefore people are more accustomed to it, and they just adapt. Is that a feasible scenario in your sort of view? Because clearly right now there is this sort of discomfort, but one might argue that perhaps this is just an issue of not having enough time to adapt to that type of a society. And if that were pervasive and everybody just saw it everywhere, would people sort of overcome this discomfort and just say, you know, it's okay, it happens to everybody, therefore I'm just going to give in and accept it?
Yeah, I think that kind of adaptation hypothesis is very valid and certainly proposed a lot in like media representations of this question. But one example that I like to look to kind of, so I as a privacy researcher would hope that that's not the case, that it's just a matter of time before we're all so habitualized to seeing these hyper-personalized ads that we stop fighting for our privacy at all. But one thing that this work made me think about more was the fact that these data transactions are so opaque, kind of plays a key role. And when people actually see named entities that have their information that they don't expect, they actually do react negatively. One example I like to point to is the SIFT data broker, which there was a story in the New York Times revealing all of this information that this third party no one had heard of had every Airbnb message you would ever sent. And after that, that article, their website for requesting your data crashed, which to me suggests that when people see the actors or realize more about who has what and who these third parties are, then they start feeling a sense of agency and can kind of speak out. So that's why I'm kind of interested in pursuing greater transparency with the hope that we can get greater action and intervene before that later stage of people being habitualized.
Great, thank you.
Great talk, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the talk. Thank you, Ben, for the reference to Minority Report. And thank you, Julia, for that nice segue into our last and final talk. So last but not least for Chicago 2020 is a talk by a student that worked with me, Michael Swart, who's now a software engineer at Lyft. So Michael completed this work with myself and my PhD student, Arnesh Matha, both at Princeton University, and is now, on to other things. But he's talking about how to help people recognize disguised ads on social media platforms. So kind of looking at this transparency question that Julia raised. Okay, so Michael, if you're ready, then I would say take it away.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see you and your screen.
Awesome, thank you. So I'll be presenting our paper, Is This an Ad? Automatically Disclosing All My Endorsements on YouTube with AdIntuition. And so first,
are there cheaper options for dinner? Of course. Considering they're super healthy meals, non-GMO, antibiotic-free and hormone-free for all of their meats, I think it's a really, really fun idea. So if you guys are interested, you guys can go to themillennialshow.com/blue-apron, or you can find the link to click on below in my YouTube description. You can click that triangle over in this corner and it'll pop it open for you if you're on your phone. So the answer is yes and no. Blue Apron is cheaper than the grocery store your very first week, and it's about even or a little bit more than the grocery store for the weeks after.
Cool, so that was a video taken off of YouTube, and this is the video description here. And kind of just thinking about what she said and looking at the description here, it can be confusing to understand if this is or is not an advertisement. But after researching a little bit, we found that this is actually an advertisement. The link that she has here in the description is an affiliate link, it's called. And so she gets money each time the link is clicked. But it's kind of confusing because she never actually says that she will be making money anytime someone clicks this link. And also the video description is long. And so it's hard to actually find this link and understand that she'll be making money from it. And then finally, she has in her account like multiple lifestyle videos. And so to have some videos that are not sponsored next to videos that are sponsored, it can be confusing to tell which ones are truly genuine and which ones are sponsored. So this is an example of affiliate marketing, which is a type of social media marketing in which influencers make a percentage of the proceeds that they generate for a brand. And this graph down here kind of shows the funnel. So a lot of users might watch this YouTube video that I just showed you. And then she brings people to the Blue Apron website. And then some of those users will purchase the actual Blue Apron subscription. And so the brand makes money because they now have subscriptions, and the content creator makes money because she brought this traffic to the website. So there are 3 different methods for actually tracking affiliate marketing. The first one is affiliate marketing services. One of them is Blue Apron uses one of them called EVYY. And on the left here, you can see that the link that she had in the description has a kind of a redirect chain after it. And the second link in this redirect chain goes to the evyy.net URL, which tracks affiliate marketing content for Blue Apron. And so then Blue Apron will know where the content was actually sourced from. So Blue Apron uses an affiliate marketing service to do their tracking. Another one is adding urchin tracking module parameters to the URL that is being used to track. And so we can see here in the redirect chain that in the last URL, there's this UTM medium equals affiliate parameter, which kind of says to us that, hey, this person is an affiliate marketer, and we're tracking them based off of this URL. And so the actual URL itself could just contain those tracking parameters, and the brand will handle the tracking. And then finally, coupon codes are a great way for affiliate marketing brands to track affiliate marketing. And this is because these coupon codes can be individualized for each affiliate marketer, and they have to be used at checkout in order to get the discount. And so the user is incentivized to use the coupon code, and the coupon code is personalized so the brand can see actually which influencer brought in this the buyer to their brand. So we built off of one study that had been done before. Most of the work in this field isn't focused on disguised ads, but there was one study that showed that only about 10% of YouTube content creators actually disclose these relationships, and not all of these disclosures are clear that they're actually going to be making money. And so this study also found that users are not able to distinguish between sponsored and unsponsored content, especially without these disclosures, which happen not very frequently. So based off of this previous work, we asked a couple of research questions. The first is, can we create a browser extension to make it easier to determine when these relationships exist? The second one was, how prevalent is affiliate marketing on YouTube? And then the third one is, like, assuming that we could create this browser extension, does it actually help users to determine that affiliate marketing is present? So our approach, we used a list of these affiliate marketing services from that previous study. They found 108 patterns. Then we also created a coupon code classifier. So basically what we did was we took a bunch of YouTube descriptions, found ones that manually marked ones that had coupon codes in them, and then built a classifier on top of that to try and find out, like, in a YouTube description, is there a coupon code present? And then we also manually inspected 4,500 videos to find UTM parameters corresponding to affiliate marketing. And so from these 3 sources, we built a browser extension called AdIntuition for Chrome and Firefox. And basically what this browser extension does is, as users watch YouTube videos, it flags these 3 sources of affiliate marketing. So affiliate marketing by URL, UTM parameters, and coupon codes. And so it flags all 3 of those as users are watching YouTube videos in real time. And so this is just like a screenshot of the display. On the top of the screen, right below the search bar, a red banner pops up containing a disclosure saying, this video contains affiliate links. If you click on highlighted links, the creator receives a commission. And then in the description, the actual source of the affiliate marketing is highlighted so that they know where the affiliate marketing is coming from. So we performed 3 studies. After building the browser extension, we performed 3 studies to test different things. The first was how good is our browser extension. The second one is trying to understand the user experience. And then the third one was trying to understand the performance of AdIntuition. So in the first study, we looked at the efficacy of our browser extension. We conducted it over Amazon's Mechanical Turk for 300 participants. And in this study, users watched 1 of 3 videos, each of which contained an affiliate marketing URL. And then we split users into 2 groups based off of those videos. So the control group had no banner or highlighted link, and the experimental group had a banner disclosure and highlighted link, like I showed you in the previous screenshot. And so the graph down here shows the breakdown of people based off of each category. So for each video, we tried to go half and half in the control group and the treatment group. And so the results of this study found that 71.4% of the experimental group thought that a relationship was likely or highly likely, compared to 56.3% of the control group. So it did help to users to see if there was an affiliate marketing content in the video. In the second study, we wanted to understand individual users' experience using the tool. So we conducted it over 2 weeks with 12 participants. And basically what we did was we asked users to download AdIntuition and log a diary entry whenever they saw AdIntuition flag a video, and then record their thoughts about the tool. And we also conducted a pre-study and post-study interview to see about their browsing habits and what they thought of the tool once their 2 weeks was done. So in this study, we found that 26% of the total diary logs found that participants were surprised that some videos contained affiliate marketing. And so in the video that I showed at the beginning of this talk, that could be an example of one that an individual might find surprising, that it contained advertising. 6 out of 11 participants found that AdIntuition made them think more about sponsorships on YouTube. And a few participants even expressed increased skepticism over whether influencers genuinely endorse a product or were paid to do so. So in our final study, we had users download AdIntuition in the wild and then tracked their interactions with the tool by building in some tracking features. They were given the option to opt out and view their data because we wanted to make sure that we were as open as possible about this. And then we measured the effectiveness of the detection techniques by tracking these things. And so in the bottom here, there's a sample log. In the second column, there are the different events that we track. So add username was basically like the user downloaded the extension. And then there are 4 events that happen like in really quick succession here. One of them is the video watch event, which doesn't contain the URL or the video ID because we wanted to maintain user privacy. So instead of having the full user's watch history, we just tracked video IDs for videos that contained affiliate marketing. And so then the next 3 are one of each of the types of affiliate marketing. And for these, we did actually track the video ID. And then finally, in this sample log, there's another video watch event. And again, we didn't track the video ID for this one because we didn't want to track all of the videos that the user watched. And so the results of this study, we let it run for 82 days and 472 users downloaded the extension this time, and they watched almost 61,000 videos. 6,000 of these were true positives and contained at least one of the indicators of affiliate marketing. Some of these videos were watched twice, but since we didn't have each individual video that was watched, only the ones that contained affiliate marketing, we could only find that the affiliate marketing videos that were watched more than once. So in total, we found that there were almost 4,500 unique affiliate marketing videos that were watched. The two graphs at the bottom here show individual users over time. On the left, it's like how many affiliate marketing videos did they see over the minimum number of days that they were active. And interestingly, at the beginning, they showed like a little bit of initial interest to kind of make sure the tool worked. And then it drops off a little bit, but then it spikes back up after they start using the tool like without interest in if the tool works. And then towards the end, it kind of tails off a little bit more again. And then on the right, it's individual users. And kind of interestingly, the percentage of users that are at 0% tails off after 11 days, probably because they never found any videos that had affiliate marketing. And so they deleted the extension. And this was interesting, we thought, because affiliate marketing does somewhat depend on which videos you're watching. And so for some users, it could be really high. Like some of these in the first couple of days are almost at 80%. And then some of them it's at 0%. So it does a little bit matter what videos that the users are watching. And so then for the results, we found that in the wild, the coupon code classifier had a true positive rate of 81%. And because we were tracking the coupon code disclosures in this, we can further like improve our classifier with this additional data. And then we also found that the UTM parameters had a lower bound true positive rate of 75%, which we thought was pretty good, given that originally we were tracking all UTM parameters, and then these were just ones that we manually confirmed to have affiliate marketing in their parameters. And some of these would just be hard for us to track because they can be completely decided by the brand. So it could be like a random string, and that could be hard for us to manually see. But 75% we thought was pretty good for this. And then the graph on this page shows the percentage of content seen by the source. So known affiliate was the largest and UTM parameters were the smallest. So overall takeaways from our project here is that AdIntuition does help people to identify affiliate marketing content. People were more skeptical of content overall and more aware of sponsored content when using AdIntuition. And AdIntuition can successfully identify affiliate marketing content on YouTube in real time. Coupon codes and UTM parameters can be used as signals of affiliate marketing content. So overall implications of this, undisclosed affiliate marketing is a problem. Tools like AdIntuition can help users to find affiliate marketing content on YouTube and other social media platforms. Browsers or social media platforms in the future could integrate automatic affiliate marketing disclosures into their capabilities. And platforms could even require users to disclose affiliate marketing content by using similar capabilities to flag relationships. So like this would look like as a user clicks upload for a video on YouTube, the YouTube platform could say, hey, it looks like you have an affiliate marketing relationship in this video and you never disclosed it. Like, are you sure you want to publish this without the disclosure? Okay, cool. So that's the talk. You can download the extension if you want to try it out. And yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. I may be biased, but I thought that was a great talk. And so let's go to questions. So Pedro, do you want to just ask your question since you can meet yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. So I was wondering, and I don't know if you've given some thought on this, because I can imagine there's also a lot of work to be done on the browser side of AdIntuition and in the understanding. But I'm curious, now that you've built this tool, researched this tool, do you have a sense of how building this for any other medium would work and which challenges lie ahead? You know, like if I would do this for podcasts, right, where the media is completely different because it's audio only, but the same problems arise. Sometimes I'm listening to a podcast and I'm like, I think this is, this is an ad. Is it? Is this person giving me an ad or not? And so forth. You could imagine augmented reality is a really challenging one because you don't even know what's real and so forth. Do you have thoughts on that, Michael?
Yeah, that's a super interesting question. I think for this study, we just focused on YouTube because it helped us like kind of narrow down our field of study, but it could definitely be extended in the future. the original study that I mentioned, they looked at YouTube and Pinterest. And so like, it could definitely be extended to Pinterest. And like your question about podcasts, there could be other ways that you could look at this. So like, we looked at just the video description, but if you looked at the video content, it would be a lot like a podcast. That was just harder because, yeah, the transcripts. It's like a speech to text would be necessary there. And so we thought that complicated things a lot. And we saw that these signals were pretty strong as is. But it could definitely be a way to extend this in the future to look at the actual transcripts in the future.
Right. Yeah. So and I would just add on that, like, we tried looking at the actual video content, but that would require, it would either require a transcript or some other way to analyze the video to see what someone said if they disclosed it there. But text analysis is obviously much easier when there's a transcript available.
I do agree with both of you that the signals are super strong on video. Right. Like I kind of almost can spot it, but it would be interesting to see in like things that are more subtle, like podcasts or something.
Right. Exactly. Thank you for that question. That was a really good question. Also, we have another question from Henry Filosa, who said that he's shocked that only 10% of YouTubers disclosed affiliate marketing. And is this something that the Federal Trade Commission is considering penalizing and already sending cease and desist letters for? So have you considered this as a tool for regulators? Michael?
That's super, super great question, because you're exactly correct. The FTC is regulating this, but it's kind of like, even though they have rules against it, they're not really cracking down on it. So there's a couple of cases, I think we even linked them in the paper, of the FTC that when they did crack down on this, but for the most part, it's kind of like the Wild West. Like, even though there are rules, they're not really enforced. I actually just sent a passage to Professor Chetty the other day about an influencer saying that like she tries to disclose these relationships, but for the most part, she feels like it's unregulated and she could do whatever she wanted. And so this could be something that the FTC could use to try and find undisclosed content and start cracking down on it. But right now, it doesn't seem like this is something, even though there are rules against it, that they're actually taking super seriously.
Right. And actually, I'll add on to that. So the Federal Trade Commission is now asking for guidelines on their online endorsements. And so we're actually using Michael's work and evidence from Michael's work, as well as our previous paper that Michael mentioned. We'll provide them with some guidance on how they can revise those guidelines so that they can actually get more influencers to adopt these kinds of disclosures. And I guess, right. So that was the other question, was mainly just about the regulators. So it is something that we're considering. And, now that we have more evidence from the user studies, I think that's really, it's really much more influential. Actually, a side note is that some influencers did actually change the way they disclose because of some of this research that we've done. And so they now disclose what they're doing. I don't think Blue Apron is one of those, but some of the other influencers have done that. Great. Are there any other questions that we can take? Probably have time for one more question, or if not, then I would love to thank Michael for the talk and to say thank you all for coming and attending Kai Cargo, Kai 2020. And I would like to also say, just give a little plug, which I think Pedro is going to show some slides. Before that, I wanted to mention that if you are at UChicago, we have this bi-weekly HCI seminar, which we call HCI Club. And I will paste the link for how you can subscribe to this bi-weekly seminar. And we'll have many more other events other than this. And I'll wrap it up like that and turn it over to Pedro, who will also say our thank yous for everyone that made this event possible. Take it away, Pedro.
All right, let me go back. So we're done with the closing. Thank you so much for attending. That was really exciting. As always, we want to thank the people who actually made this possible. That's, Jazz Baruch, Andrew McNutt, Julia. These are all speakers. Andrew, who gave 2 talks, Jenna, Yuxin, Shan-Yuan. I also gave a talk. And Michael, who we just heard from in his amazing talk. Also thank Jazz Brooks for doing our logo and doing the design of our agenda. That was very, very kind of you. Thanks to all the session chairs, Ben Zhao, Blaise and Marshni Chetty, who guided us through these 8 really cool talks. But especially a huge and special thanks to Tom and Rob Mitchum, who helped us really pull this off, because we're total technology noobs, and we didn't even know how to set up a Zoom chat properly, or anything like a YouTube stream. And so Tom and Rob are really the people that you should be clapping to, a Zoom clapping to thank you for this being possible. Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Rob. All right, so most of all, thank you for being here. If you didn't catch any particular talk, we're trying to post videos soon on YouTube. This recording will be there. Over 100 people were here, split between here and YouTube, which is really cool. I know there's a lot of other Kai events, like the German Kai is happening right now, but you still, ended up coming to the Chicago Kai, and really thank you for that, to hear these 8 talks that I thought were really interesting. Again, as Marshni mentioned, if you're a Chicago student, you can join the HCI Club. I posted a link here that is just a redirect. This is not part of my lab, but just for you to memorize it quicker. This is lab.plopez.org/HCI Club. And Marshni is going to paste directly the link where you can subscribe. And then with the HCI Club, you can just join us on our recurring meetings. We just talk about all sorts of different things. It's very laid back. It can be like presentations like this one, but it can also just be like, hey, how do I get an internship in HCI, and how do I learn more about the field and engage with each other? That's what this is about. So yeah, that's it. Thank you once more for being here. And